Hi there. It is Monday the 13th of September, and it's a pretty gray one here. I hope it's nice and sunny where you are. This week we are going to read about instrumental music primarily, and how instrumental music in the 18th century, in the classical period, really rose to prominence over vocal music in many ways. The 19th century will eventually see certain types of vocal music be on par with instrumental music, such as the German art song, the Lied, and opera, and so forth. But I think in the classical period, instrumental music really comes into its own, and we find that certain things, certain people and certain events led to that and made that possible. The development of the piano as an instrument, of course, happened in the 18th century, and that became a very important event. The piano was louder than either the harpsichord or the clavichord, and it could be used in larger halls, and became the favorite instrument for chamber music and so forth. The development of the string quartet, which of course is the instrumentation of which is two violins, viola, and cello, was another very important event in the 18th century. Development of certain instruments in the woodwind area, certainly the clarinet, and the establishment of the orchestra, you might say, that became in the classical period an instrument more used by many composers, and of course became perhaps the favorite instrument of all, if we can call an orchestra an instrument. Certain forms and types of music became very, very popular, and such as the sonata, the concerto, and the symphony, and all of these and other types of works as well, all of which were organized, became more organized in forms that had much to do with the harmonic movement of a piece. And your chapter 22 that you're to read this week talks a lot about forms, binary form, simple and balanced and rounded binary forms, and certainly perhaps the most important event of all in the 18th century, the most important development of all, the development of what we call sonata form, or first movement form, and its cousin, the concerto first movement form, or sonata concerto form, and how the what we call sonata form it really should be described. We tend to describe it as exposition, development, and recapitulation, but it is, I think, more appropriate to describe sonata form in terms of the harmonic events, and in the way that that your textbook lays it out. I think exposition, development, recapitulation is too simplistic a description of sonata form, and it needs to have more detail than that and be more harmonically based. There are also other forms in instrumental music, as you'll see in the book: slow movement sonata form, variations form, minuet and trio form, and rondo form, and so forth. Certain composers are highlighted in your textbook, each important, I think, specifically, especially important in one specific category. Domenico Scarlatti, who was an Italian composer active in Portugal and Spain all of his life, who wrote more than 550 keyboard sonatas, and has become really a trailblazer, you might say, in the development of sonata form and certainly music for the piano. C.P.E. Bach, or the son of J.S. Bach, or the initials stand for Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach, and his music is also very important in the gallant style, but also having lots of ingredients of the Empfindsamer Stil, the expressive style. The works of Johann Stamitz, who was active in Mannheim and led the orchestra there. His work, of course, mostly in the orchestral symphonic arena. The works of J.C. Bach, Johann Christian Bach, who was mostly active in London, and his piano concertos, and how he dealt with sonata form or first movement form as applied to the concerto, where he mixed it kind of with the old Baroque ritornello form, and fused the ritornello form with first movement sonata form. And his works, particularly in this genre of the piano concerto, were extremely important and influential to other composers, notably Mozart. The development of the cadenza is also talked about in your textbook, and the development of some lighter forms, maybe, of instrumental symphonic music. So this is what your chapter is about this week. I think the single most important thing in it is the discussion about the sonata form, and to understand sonata form well, and to be able to apply it to pieces of music, be able to recognize it when you listen to pieces of music, and be able to delineate the sections that make up sonata form, based on the key structure and the harmonic events and so forth. Now, on another note, I wrote to you about, or I posted as a news item, that I will be in Bozeman the week of October 4th, I believe it is, and would like to have a discussion this week, maybe in the discussion area, simply about what we should do about meeting. If you'd like to meet with me, have lectures, simply have question and answer sessions in preparation for the test. I also wanted to know, perhaps you would want to meet more than once. I don't know when we can get together, and I need your input on this. And so if you wouldn't mind writing into the discussion area about this, so that we can, I can get a sense for how I should plan my week in Bozeman. Want to remind you that I need you to have read the documents in the content area. I need you to check in with the content area with the course homepage, where I post news items. I need you to check the schedule daily, if not a couple of times a day sometimes, to find out exactly when things are posted, and to find out when they are available, at what time, and when they're closed. And that is just the way it's going to be. I post them there, and whatever I set up as the time frame is the time frame that that goes. So please check in with the schedule and make sure you understand when a test or a quiz or an assignment or a discussion is due. Not only the day, but also the time. And feel free to contact me. I'm going to try to set up, I'm still learning, as you are perhaps, this D2L program, and there are elements of it that I have not used yet. I have not used the chat function. I've not used the pager tool, and I'm going to try to investigate doing that in the next day or so. So be sure to check, stay in touch. Be sure to follow, if you'd like to, the organization of time that I had outlined for you at the beginning in the content area. Or if you have your own organization of your own time, that's fine. I just know that out of sight, out of sight, out of mind is out of mind, out of sight. Whatever it is perhaps applicable here to an online course as opposed to a lecture course. If nobody reminds you to do things, you may forget, or if you don't have the discipline and the structure, organization of time. So, happy studying. Please stay in touch. Write me, email me, put things in the discussion area, and hopefully we can plan for my visit in Bozeman and how we could best utilize that time. Okay, have a good week with chapter 22 and a lot of good music.